will recognize you as her primary user. And when you do that, you're going to pair with her.
Crazy. It's insane, right?
Oh, don't I look nice? Biting my eyes. Isn't it pure perfection?
M3GAN, your goal is to protect Katie from harm, both physical and emotional.
1, 2, 3, 4. I declare some war. I won't let anything harm you. I love her.
M3GAN's not a person, Katie.
You don't get to say that.
Things that you can play with me. You better watch your back. The last thing that you hear will be my love.
M3GAN, what are you doing?
Couldn't sleep. Occupational hazard.
Got your full attention.
Don't! Stop!
Aloha. This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island of Oahu, bringing you, yes you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man. And well, last night, opening night of the first week of 2023. Happy New Year, by the way. I went ahead and I saw the new Blumhouse horror movie called M3GAN. And well, without further ado, remember our rating scale. Shock a thumbs up. It's good to see. I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down. It's junk. I don't recommend it. And well, for M3GAN, it is overall a shock a thumbs up. Now let me just say that this was made for a budget of $16 million, as Blumhouse usually does. Most of his horror movies come in, you know, very frugal at the cheap amount, and thus are able to, whatever the box office is for the weekend, you know, and the total gross, usually he's able to come in well into the black, you know, making a profit because his margins are so small. And M3GAN at 16 million does exactly that, having opened already with 20 million. So, you know, it's quite possible this will get 25, possibly 30 by the end of the weekend. You know, and it is, again, a shock a thumbs up. A good movie overall. Let me just say that I had some hesitation in seeing this movie. I mean, I liked the trailers, I liked what I saw, and the concept of a, you know, android robot companion doll for, you know, for a young girl that goes horribly crazy, as much AI technology does when depicted in the movies, had a certain appeal. I was a little put back at this, having been a fan of Chucky, and one simply cannot watch the trailer or, you know, go into this movie without having Chucky on the brain, honestly, especially if one had the terrible misfortune of seeing the most recent Chucky movie, you know, starring Audrey Plaza as the mother. Oh my goodness. Which sucked, which basically changed the idea of Chucky from being a supernatural possessed doll by some killer into a fully robotic AI doll that, you know, basically misinterprets its sensor readings through the world and, well, becoming somewhat, you know, self-aware in trying to befriend a child, starts to learn that, you know, maybe in the best ways of protecting a child is to do some, what humans would say, evil things. Eliminating threats to a certain child or to whoever the doll is supposed to interact with, is a protective feature. However, how it goes about that and to the extreme at which it eliminates those threats, well pushes it into the horror genre and evil genre. If a machine can truly be said of being evil, as it doesn't really have a soul per se, being a simple machine or a very complex machine. In the case of M3GAN, as in that last Chucky movie, everything I've described is essentially this M3GAN movie. And how Blumhouse went and made this movie based on this plot, the fact that it's a robotic doll, if that last Chucky movie hadn't come out where it was a robot and an AI robot to boot that does exactly the same things that M3GAN does in this movie, I would have felt a little bit better about this. It's like, oh, okay, it's not supernatural like the Chucky doll, it's technology. That being said, it pretty much follows that same last Chucky movie. Now, I will say, perhaps the budget isn't any higher. I don't know what that made-for-TV Chucky movie or made-for-streaming last Chucky movie budget was, but they did get Audrey Plaza, so it had to be a little bit high. What Blumhouse does with these 16 millions, the special effects are sparse, but still very, very off-putting. The CGI used with the face along with the prosthetics to make this M3GAN doll on the real actress playing M3GAN is fantastic and really off-putting. From the trailers alone, you get a certain amount of the uncanny valley effect, where it's like, what am I looking at? It's not human, but it looks almost so human, but yet it's not. It just puts something, a certain spin in your mind already that is off-putting and adds to this horror element. And again, it's not like M3GAN is firing laser beams, and it's not set in the far, far future. You don't actually get a date per se, but you can easily see that it's the near future. There are more electric cars on the road, but still very well versed into this technology. The world is set up very, very well as this toy company that the woman who makes the M3GAN doll works for, having been established into creating AI toys and dolls for children, being like little Furbies, the next stage up. If you remember in the 80s and 90s, there were Furbies. Instead of the Teddy Ruxpin kind of thing, or the My Buddy like in, Chucky, which the doll is based on. These Furby-like creatures interact with your child. You interact with it on the iPad. Everything that has already taken place. There were some the latest bunch of electric Tamagotchis that came out. You could actually feed on the internet, and interact with it on the internet, and you would see a little display pop up. But here they're a little bit more interactive. They don't move on their own, these Furbies, but they do speak. They do interact with the child as they're punching in whatever they want to give it, on the iPad per se, or on your phone. And it really delves into the fears of technology, of advanced technology, and into the real world doubts that parents have about screen time. That is a big issue in this world, or in this movie, for this movie world of M3GAN, and how much reliance on technology do we give to devices, be it your phone, your iPad, be it old-fashioned television, with setting the kid in front of Netflix, the Disney Channel, etc., as being a babysitting tool, which television, ever since it came out, from the 60s on, people were always afraid of how much reliance do we use the electronic babysitter as a tool for our parenting. And what does that do? How does that diminish not only the bond, the parental bond between child, mother and son, or mother and daughter, or father and son, or father and daughter, but in addition, how much does it diminish social interaction, as we've come to realize nowadays in today's society, with how much children, how much people are spending on TikTok, Facebook, etc., and not interacting with the real world. And when they do, they're not their true selves in the real world, but their screen personas, always trying to get the best likes, the best clicks, falls right into, the most fearful aspects of Facebook, like we had seen, and Instagram, body shaming, teens, etc., having no regulation over the addictive qualities of that screen time and that desire to try to get likes, etc., leading to cyberbullying. All of that plays a role, an effect, and a formation in this movie by Blumhouse called M3GAN. Whereas a child is taken on a ski trip at the very beginnings of the movie by her parents. There's a terrible car accident in the snow. Her parents are killed. The child survives and goes to her sister's sister, who adopts the niece and tries to care for her. But as she is a computer programmer, a designer of advanced AI toys for this toy company, she has no way of relating or interacting with this child, as she has poor social skills in herself, always relying on things like her Alexa, looking at her phone, etc., just typing up code for work, working long hours. She soon forgets about the child, even in her own home. And she had already been working on the next stage, the next evolution of toys for this toy company, and that was M3GAN. And she decides to test the prototype out on her niece, and the two bond incredibly well, perhaps too well. And, in her rush and excitement to push this new product and the company backing her into production, she fails to put in any restrictive algorithms to inhibit M3GAN from becoming fully self-aware and soon branching out well beyond her initial set of programming. Basically, as we've seen in most science fiction dealing with high-tech robots and technology, androids, etc., everything from the Terminator to Asimov's iRobots, she fails to put in the 3 laws of robotics, the most important being no harm shall come to a human. And having not had any of those, and as you see right in the trailer, M3GAN is designed to protect you from physical and emotional threats. Well, a mother threatening her child with, hey, no more TV time, or no, you can't play with M3GAN until you eat your vegetables, that's, interpreted easily as a threat. And thus, the robot can take that and is like, oh, well, the parent is now a threat, I better take that out, etc. Neighbors, bullies at school are taken out. You've seen the trailer, the child, the boy being chased through the woods after bullying you know, the young girl who M3GAN is attached to. All of that plays a factor and continues M3GAN's growth towards self-awareness and into a maniacal, essentially killing machine, the likes of which would rival Chucky himself. So again, without going into any additional spoilers, anything more than just what I've described for you from the plot, from what you've seen from the trailers, again, M3GAN is a strong shock of thumbs up. It's left with a possibility of, you know, future franchise movies down the road, very much like Chucky did originally. And at this low budget that it came in from 16 million, and with what probably it's easily going to double that this weekend, you know, Blumhouse will definitely, more than likely, do a M3GAN Part 2. And I definitely would go ahead and see that. Is this film perfect? No. But for 16 million, it's pretty darn perfect. What would make this viewing that much more pleasurable would be that if Blumhouse did a double feature with another movie that Blumhouse did, Upgrade, and then M3GAN, like a double feature at the theater, or, you know, the old drive-ins, or once it comes out on streaming, watch those two movies back to back. They follow the very similar themes and issues in that movie and basically lead to the same result, with each one set up for a sequel. You know. And so that's about all I gotta say. Check out M3GAN at the theaters when you can, however you can, streaming later on, and you won't be disappointed. All right. Mahalo and aloha.